Am I a genius or what? So far, I predicted every winner perfectly. We're still waiting for our last conference semifinalist as OKC will battle Houston in Game 7, but just tonight Denver Nuggets overcame a 3-1 series deficit and beat the Utah Jazz in Game 7. And what did I tell you in my Western Conference playoff predictions? Denver in 7. Okay. And what did I tell you about the Clippers Mavericks series? Clippers in 6. All of that happened perfectly as I predicted, and now the LA Clippers will face the Denver Nuggets in the Western Conference Semifinals. What up guys, this is Purple Prince and let's preview the LA Clippers Denver Nuggets series right here, right now. For a moment, it looked like Dallas could possibly upset the Clippers. The chance of that looked especially good after Luka Doncic made a game-winning buzzer beater in Game 4 to tie the series 2-2. Additionally, Paul George was struggling, Patrick Beverley was not playing, so Mavericks had a chance. But with Porzingis out, the Mavericks were just overwhelmed. In the end, 4-2, exactly as I predicted, and the Clippers had to wait a bit to find out who they were gonna face in the next round. Pretty clear who was the Clippers' best player in the series. It was Kawhi Leonard. He averaged 32.8 points, 10.2 rebounds, 5.2 assists, and 2.3 steals, and the Clippers needed every bit of that. 4 more players on the Clippers averaged double-digit points, but one big piece was missing for almost the whole series. Paul George averaged just 18.5 points on 35.8% shooting from the field and just 27.5% from the 3. He'll need to be better in the series against Denver. Collectively, in the first round, the Clippers scored 126.7 points per game, which was the best result from all the teams. They allowed the Mavericks to score 117 points per game, which is the 13th best mark out of 16 teams. The Clippers connected on 50.4% of their field goals, second best result, and 40.4% of their threes, the third best result. They held the Mavericks to 47.3% shooting from the field and 36% from the 3, 10th and 6th best marks respectively. Now, the Nuggets vs Jazz series was a nail-biter. Every game in the series except the final one was a high-scoring game. It started with Nuggets taking Game 1, then 2 big wins by the Jazz and a close 2-point win in Game 4, and suddenly the Nuggets were on the brink of elimination. But then, Jamal Murray stepped up, willing his team to 2 wins in a row with great performances. Tonight, the game was close again, but it wasn't as high-scoring. Both teams shot the ball poorly, which can be contributed to some fatigue and a better defense. In the end, Mike Conley missed a possible game winner and the Nuggets move on to the next round. The Nuggets' best player in the series clearly was Jamal Murray. He came through when the team needed him the most. He averaged 31.6 points for the series and shot 55% from the field and 53.3% from the distance. He was amazing. Jokic was well-rounded as always, scoring 26.3 points on average and added 8.1 rebounds and 5.4 assists. 2 more players in Jeremy Grant and Michael Porter scored in double digits also. One more positive, Gary Harris returned in Game 6 from an injury, and he should be a big contributor in the series against the Clippers. As a team, the Nuggets scored 110 points per game, which was the 11th best result. Defensively, they allowed their opponents to score 113.4 points per game, 10th best. They connected on 46.6% of their field goals, 8th best result, and 42% on their threes, the 2nd best. They held the Jazz to 48.5% shooting from the field and 42.1% from the 3. Okay, that's for the first round, so what to expect here? The teams met 3 times during the regular season and the Clippers won 2 of those meetings. Their only loss came when Paul George didn't play, and that's the first key to the series, Paul George. Paul George really had just 2 good games against Dallas. 4 times in 6 games he was horrible, and even in Game 6 he shot just 6 for 19. I'm not sure that's gonna cut it against Denver. He has to step up for his team. We know Denver has some shooters up there, and if Paul George keeps missing those threes, it could be a long series. He also has to be more careful on defense as he collected 4 fouls in every game against Dallas. Might not seem that important, but when the game's on the line, you want your best player to be there, not sitting on the bench because of foul trouble. Clippers bigs also have to step up. With Porzingis out, they didn't have to worry about that in the Mavericks series, but Denver has some long bodies. Millsap, Jokic, Porter, even Bol could enter the game. If it's a Zubac did okay, but Montrezl Harrell has to be more productive and will play a bigger role in this series. Marcus Morris will need to play a bit cleaner against the Nuggets. He clearly was targeting Luka Doncic versus the Mavericks. He has to be smarter in this series. He can't afford to jeopardize his team's success because of some boneheaded plays. And what about Lou Will? He was pretty silent against the Mavericks. He's capable of so much more on the offensive end, and I think the Clippers will need that. Getting back Patrick Beverley would also be nice. Doc Rivers said he's hopeful that Beverley plays Game 1, and the whole Clippers team should be hopeful about that. He's just that pesky defender who'll come in handy to guard somebody like Jamal Murray. Which is a nice segue into the first key for Denver, Jamal Murray. Can he remain as hot as he was against Utah? Murray did cool off in Game 7, but he'll have to be at his best against the Clippers. The Clippers have the wings and a guard in Patrick Beverley to contain Murray, so as ridiculous as it might sound, Murray maybe even has to be better than he was in the first round. If he can continue to shoot as he did in the midst of the Jazz series, Denver has a good shot at winning this. As for players who need to step up, Michael Porter. He was alright against the Jazz, but he will need to score more and be more aggressive against the Clippers. He's a unique player as he has the length to stay in the paint, but he also can go outside and punish you from distance. He's had some great games in the bubble. Let's hope he has some more in this series. Nikola Jokic. He was Denver's main force in Game 7 against the Jazz, and he'll have to play it big against the Clippers. He can really punish the Clippers inside, which is probably their only weakness as we speak. He's so versatile and he can use his superior skill to get some of the Clippers bigs into early foul trouble. We know he can hit some clutch shots, but more importantly, he's probably the only advantage the Nuggets have over the Clippers. And the fourth key for Denver are role players. Gary Harris, Paul Millsap, Jeremy Grant, Torrey Craig are all role-playing defenders who will mostly guard Kawhi and Paul George. Coach Mike Malone is especially high on Gary Harris. The reason for this is he feels that Gary Harris is one of the better two-way players in the league, and he has a point. It remains to be seen how effective he can be against one of the best duos in the league. To sum this up, this will also be a battle of depth. The Clippers probably have the best bench in the NBA, but the Nuggets bench isn't that bad either. They have options, they have grinders, defenders, and more importantly some three-point shooters who could provide some trouble for the Clippers defense. Clippers on the other hand have the best six-man in the league and a lot of dogs as the media like to put it. Both teams were engaged in a long first-round series, but the Clippers have had some extra days of rest. On paper, the Clippers win this. As talented as the Nuggets are, it's really hard to go against the Clippers on this one. They just have better stars, better role players, better defense, everything is just a bit better. My prediction, it goes another 6 games, but the Clippers win and move on to the conference finals. Everything is possible, but a Nuggets win in this series would be a great upset. Regardless, it should be very fun to watch. So that's my prediction for the series. Who do you have taking the series and why? Please write your prediction in the comment section. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and tomorrow we'll know our second Western Conference Semifinals pair. Thanks for watching. This is Purple Prince, and I'm out.